You've heard the buzzwords disruption, transformation, but what does it really mean for your business, your job, your future? Today, we're diving into a whole unit of research that outlines 11 sources of disruption.
It's not just about technology changes. It's about something much deeper.
We're going to unpack how to assess your own organization in light of these shifts, and even why 23 of transformation attempts fail.
What's fascinating here is that we're talking about a complete shift in how we think about business strategy.
Exactly. The traditional playbook. It's outdated. Competition isn't just in your industry anymore. It's in whole ecosystems. You're competing with companies that might not even seem like direct rivals.
Think about it. Cars are now mobility solutions, banks are competing with fintech, and pharmacies are morphing into health management centers. Industry boundaries are dissolving. This is ecosystem disruption, and it's happening across the board, fueled by things like the rise of generative AI, like ChatGPT.
And this is where it gets really interesting. It's not just about the product anymore, but the value you offer and the customer experience. Let's take a look at the 11 sources of disruption we're talking about. One is the shift to customer centricity, driven by online reviews, social media feedback, and personalized marketing. Another is the rise of digital platforms like Amazon and Uber, which disrupt existing business models.
These changes are creating new power dynamics, and they're forcing companies to rethink their entire approach to business.
So we've talked about the shifting landscape, the ecosystem disruption, and these 11 sources. Now, how do we even begin to plan when everything's shifting? How do we navigate this constant change?
That's where the predictability malleability matrix comes in.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, so it helps you assess your environment and figure out what's the right strategy for you.
Okay.
Think of it as a map with 4 quadrants.
A map.
Yeah, it asks, can you predict the future? Can you shape it? These combinations tell you if you need a classical, adaptive, visionary, or shaping approach. Let's say your industry is relatively stable and you have some influence over its direction.
Mm-hmm.
You'd fall into the classical quadrant, where traditional strategic planning methods still hold value.
That makes sense, but what about those situations where the future is less certain?
Exactly. If your industry is unpredictable, but you can still influence its direction, you're in the shaping quadrant, like Netflix.
Okay.
They aggressively invest in original content to shape viewer preferences.
Right.
On the other hand, if you're dealing with high unpredictability and low malleability, you're looking at the adaptive quadrant, where agility and rapid response are key.
Okay.
Think of a company like a news organization, having to constantly adapt to the rapidly changing media landscape.
So you're constantly adjusting your sales based on the wind.
Right.
And if things are really bad,
You're in renewal mode, essentially trying to rebuild the foundation for future growth. Imagine a traditional retail company facing disruption from e-commerce. They might need to completely overhaul their business model to survive, focusing on online sales, experiential retail, or niche markets.
it's like being in a game of chess where the rules are constantly changing.
Exactly.
Wow.
And the predictability malleability matrix helps you make those strategic decisions in this world of constant change.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just about reacting to change.
Right.
It's about building the capacity to adapt and evolve constantly.
That's where the idea of dynamic capabilities comes in, right?
Yes.
It's not just about adapting to change. It's about becoming adaptable, agile, resilient, and ambidextrous.
Dynamic capabilities are all about honing your organization's ability to sense change, seize opportunities, and transform itself.
Okay.
That's how you future-proof a business.
It sounds like building a muscle.
Exactly. You need peripheral vision to spot trends early on.
Okay.
Vigilant learning means continuously scanning the environment and learning from both successes and failures. Probe and learn means running small experiments before committing significant resources.
So you're not just placing big bets, you're placing a lot of small bets to see what sticks.
Precisely. And then there's flexible investing, which involves shifting resources to new opportunities as they arise. You also need organizational redesign, the ability to restructure your company to adapt to new challenges and opportunities. Finally, there's external shaping, which involves influencing your industry and creating favorable conditions for your business.
Wow. It sounds like a continuous process of learning, adapting, and evolving.
You can't just flip a switch and become a dynamic organization overnight.
Right.
And it's not just about the technical skills either. It's about building a culture of learning, experimentation, and collaboration, one where people are encouraged to challenge the status quo and come up with new ideas.
So we've talked about the changing landscape, the ecosystem disruption, these 11 sources.
Right.
And then we looked at the predictability, malleability matrix, and dynamic capabilities.
Yes.
But we haven't talked about the ethical considerations of all of this.
It's not just about profits, it's about people and the planet, too.
That's what's called the triple bottom line.
Yes. It emphasizes that businesses today need to consider their impact not just on profits, but also on people, their employees, customers, and communities, and the planet. And it's not just about doing the right thing.
Mm.
It can actually make you more competitive.
How so?
Companies that are sustainable and ethically minded are attracting customers, talent, and investors.
Oh.
It's not just about avoiding harm, it's about actively contributing to a better future.
This has been an incredible deep dive so far.
It has.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the 11 sources of disruption to the predictability, malleability matrix, dynamic capabilities, and now even touched upon the importance of the triple bottom line. But we need to wrap it up. Any final words?
It's a lot to process, but it's essential knowledge for anyone who wants to thrive in today's rapidly changing business world.
It really is. It's not just about keeping your head above water. It's about learning to surf those waves of change.
And that's where the real challenge and opportunity lies.
Mm.
Think about the 11 sources of disruption we talked about. Take the rise of AI, for instance.
Okay.
If you look at it through the lens of the predictability malleability matrix, AI represents both a challenge and a tool. It's pushing us towards a less predictable future. But it also gives companies who can leverage it the ability to shape the landscape.
So it's about understanding where you stand on that matrix, but then also developing those dynamic capabilities to adapt and even influence the direction of change.
Exactly. And that's where thinking about the triple bottom line becomes even more important.
Yeah.
As we navigate these disruptive forces, we need to make sure we're not just creating value for shareholders, but also for society and the environment.
So it's not a trade-off between profit and purpose. It's about recognizing that they're intertwined.
Precisely. Companies that embrace sustainability and ethical practices aren't just mitigating risk, they're building a stronger foundation for long-term success. They're attracting top talent, building stronger customer relationships, and even attracting investors who are increasingly looking for companies that align with their values.
It's not just about staying afloat. It's about charting a course towards a better future.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, from the 11 sources of disruption to the predictability, malleability matrix, dynamic capabilities, and the triple bottom line.
It's a lot to process, but understanding these concepts can make a real difference for companies and individuals who are navigating this rapidly changing world.
Absolutely. It's about asking yourself, where do I stand in all of this? And how can I not only adapt, but thrive? We've given you the tools and frameworks. Now it's up to you to apply them.
And remember, this is an ongoing conversation. What seems disruptive today might be commonplace tomorrow. The key is to stay curious, keep learning, and never stop adapting.
That's the perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into disruption and transformation.